All right, good morning. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. Market been open here for about an hour. It's trading slightly higher. You can see where it is relative to yesterday. It's pretty much where the market was yesterday morning. Erase some of the closing slide that it is seeing, but not in any real convincing directional type of way. You still see over here. There's still a good mix of red and green out there. Some of the FedEx, Netflix, Disney's of the world just can't quite catch a bid. And we see the home builders, outperforming a little bit. We have a nice little move here on Twitter. Nice little move on J&J here today. We talked about J&J yesterday and the trade setup that was there. Even though it wasn't a challenge trigger, it did have a very nice trade setup, and we're seeing some nice little follow through to that today. But today's options expiration, and, as I mentioned this morning, option expiration Fridays, they tend to be higher volume, and they can be either really eventful or really flat. And as things sit right now, I'm not willing to call this either one. I think it's still in the balance here. But as we get through the European close, I think, we'll probably see the markets taper off and, at least until the last hour, just kind of see the markets mark time until then. Again, barring any kind of random news that that comes out or tweet or something of that nature. Okay, no new challenge signals here again this morning, and nothing even really all that close. So it's one where most likely going to end the challenge here. Today is the end date, and we'll reset at 3,000 here on the 26th of next week. So looking forward to do that. But wanted to hop on this morning and answer the question: did the challenge meet its objectives? This is the first full challenge that we've run with the algorithm here on the site. This is the first full challenge that it hasn't been, well, what does Jeff want to do? Or what are Jeff's trades? Or what are Carl's trades? Or what are Josh's trades? It's not, somebody's trades. It's it's a methodology and a signal system with some very specific things priced in and based into this that make it very different from any kind of stock picker type of system, because it's designed to start with this 3,000 and give a nice chance of really growing that over time, which is what the challenge game is about, right? And it's the way that I've always looked at it, as much more of a game than than a fund, for instance there. And, the rules of the game, the parameters of the game, we've taken and kind of taken a lot of the human element out of it and put things into probabilities based off of data and sets of data that we have over longer periods of time. So, I want to go out and answer, did it meet its objectives here? And, be frank about a few things here with it and show you a few things that are going to be slightly different. Let's go answer a few questions before we answer, did the challenge meet its objectives? Let's answer, what's the purpose of the challenge, right? We've talked about each one of these things individually over time, but what's the purpose of the challenge? Right? What is the idea behind, doing the challenge? Well, when it comes down to it, it's freedom. Both financial and time. Right? There's most people, they don't get involved in the markets to get another full-time job. Right? They don't get involved in the markets to, spend 80 hours a week, researching and doing all that kind of stuff. And it's mostly for most just something that, hey, they're looking to grab a few extra bucks or, find a direction to maybe have some really nice upside, which is what the challenge is about, having that potential for that really nice upside. And so that is the purpose behind the challenge. And one of the things that the challenge and changing it into the algorithm, it has been done to facilitate this freedom. Financial will come and go, right? Some challenges will have some really nice gains, others won't. But the time element and this element of not having to sit around all day. Is Jeff going to make a trade? Jeff going to make a trade? What's he thinking? Jeff, are you going to make a trade? And really, hey, trades happen 2 times a day. You don't really have to be on video if you don't want. The trade alerts are going to go out, and it'll be very consistent in terms of those times. Now, this challenge, we did have 2 times where trades happened off of outside of those hours. But, those were, or excuse me, 1 time where trade happened outside of those hours. And that was just when we hit 10K and, pulled out the $3,000. So, the purpose of the challenge is both, financial time-wise and, we hit the time-wise. I don't think anybody after this challenge is going, wow, I'm financially free now, right? We went from 3,000 to 10,000. Okay. It's a nice move, but at the same time, it's not that 100K carrot that, we're really looking for here. But, that's the purpose of the challenge. And in terms of the structure, have we put ourselves in the best position for, financial gains? And put ourselves in the best position for, free time freedom here. And, compared to past challenges, the answer is absolutely yes. We have done that and looking forward to continuing that here over time. Now, what do trade signals look for, right? This is something where, yes, we could talk about the freedom and all of that, but when it comes down to it, things are driven by these trade signals, right? And these trade signals are looking for something very specific. They're looking for a high probability of a 2 ATR trend move. Right? That's what they're looking for. What are they not looking for? They're not looking for what's going to happen tomorrow, right? What's going to happen tomorrow. They're not looking to call the move on the next move, right? They're not looking to do anything of that nature. They're not looking to predict the analyst or anything like that. There are a million moves a day that happen that the algorithm's not going to be involved in, right? But it's looking for high probability of a 2 ATR trend move, right? And this challenge, we've had a few of those. It is well below the expected number that I would expect during a 4-month period. It is very well below it, but it's not the lowest we've seen, and it's not that unexpected given what the market has done. The market itself has really just been a chop, churn, flat machine over the course of this challenge, and the idea behind these signals is to survive the chop, right? Just be able to at least survive the chop. And then when we get some trend, really be able to thrive in that trend. And we've had mostly chop this challenge. It has been a heavy chop. We've had a few trends come in, and we'll look at that a little bit closer. But it has been something where have the trade signals done what they're designed to do? Well, we're running below the averages, significantly below the averages here. And if we can run significantly below the averages and still go from 3K to 10K, I will take it every time. So bottom line expectations, Matt, when we started this, I said I expect that if we take a bank of 10 challenges, right, based on all the data over the last 3 years that we've done and all the work we've done with this, that over the course of 10 challenges, that we'll have 2 to 3 go to 0, right? 2 to 3 of them are going to go to 0. That's just part of it and part of the risk factor, and it's going to happen, and there's not much that I can do to change that without taking away the upside, right? So 2 to 3 are going to go to 0. We're going to see, 4 to 5 here in this 10 to 20K area. That's where most challenges are going to be. They're that 10,000 to 20,000 area. And then we're going to get, 1 to 2 out of 10 are really going to make that strong, maybe even 3, depending on the market, going to make that strong chase for, 40, 60, 100K. And, that's what we are looking for. So, over a bank of 10 challenges, that's my expectation. And so when I go expectations, Matt, did we, did we get that kind of freedom period here? Yeah, we really did. Did we get that, get that into kind of that 10 to 20K area? Sure, yeah, absolutely. And that's what I expect the majority of challenges to do. So expectations met for me of what this has been designed and built to do. Absolutely, absolutely. Expectations met if someone's looking for a trade trigger a day system where they're going to buy and sell all the time, and they're going to look at a stock and say, well, what's the stock going to do tomorrow? No, and it's never going to meet those expectations, right? And so it's one where the expectations for it, have been met. Am I a little disappointed in this challenge? Yeah, I am. I have to admit that I am. And not so much when I look at the trades and the bank of trades and everything, but we were in a spot. We were in this spot about right here at the end of July. We had really survived the chop of June and July. And some of the chop out there had been pretty intense, and we survived it really well. Put a few gains on. We're in a position to where one or two trades just hit that 2 average true range, get up to that 4 average true range, and we're talking about this challenge hitting in the 40, 60, 80, 100K area, and we were on pace for that. And then we just hit this, market itself just grind to a halt. The challenge trades, they survived, right? But we started taking ding after ding here, and these losses that weren't putting the challenge out in any massive way, but really took away that beautiful upside potential that we had really built in. Here for the challenge, so yeah, which is going to happen. We're going to have that happen. That's that's going to happen, and great. But yeah, a little disappointing, absolutely. I would have loved to see that next surge and go. It felt kind of close there to being there. And so, yeah, to see that. Now, disappointed in how it performed relative to what we saw in the market? No, absolutely. And in fact, if you were to have told me back in May, if you would have taken the S&P chart and you would have showed me this chart, and the day the challenge started, May 9th, and said, this is what things are going to look like over the course of this challenge, I would have scratched my head a little bit, and I would have thought to myself, hey, this is going to be a really rough challenge. We have a chance. We have a chance to make some money right here, with this reversal trend. But I'm not sure how many signals we'll get because we get into this new low. We're not going to get any put signals up here off of a new high because the market broke down from a new high. We're going to see chop like this. We're going to get whipsawed out of things very quickly. And maybe we have a chance to make some money right here at the tail end. Right? But here at the beginning, are we going to make a lot of money? Probably not. Market's gapping, and, it's very gap happy. And just really, only move 2 or 3 days in any kind of, to create the direction. So it would have been a market where I said, you know what? The challenge is going to struggle. To see the challenge get up to 6,000 would be a big bonus, I think. But, we were fortunate. We got off to a decent start. It was slow, right? And I got a lot of comments from people, hey, this is slow. There's not a lot there. We need more trades, blah, blah, blah. Why aren't there, all of that kind of stuff that, the challenge isn't built around. But it survived through some of this chop. We were able to play some gold to the upside as the market went to the downside. We did get that signal. And then we got a couple signals on this reversal right here, but there weren't a lot. Market was coming off a new short-term low, so there weren't a heck of a whole lot. And then we just got into chop city. No real downside signals on this drop, coming from a new high. And then just through mega chop of August. And, not a lot of fun. Not a lot of fun when you're looking for trend. And then when we get this move right here, this move right here in the market, which is, decent, 3%? What did we not get? Well, the stocks that signaled, right? The best of the best, the stuff that didn't make new lows, those weren't the stocks going up. It was the stocks that had made brand new lows that were going up. The Caterpillars and the FedExes of the world. Some of the U.S. Steel, some of the worst stocks, but coming off those brand new lows, and we're not going to get a trigger in those times. And so when I look and I go, okay, you know what, this is about what I expect for the majority of challenges. I can look at the market and say, well, you know what, probably on the low side of what I expect during challenges. And so did it meet its expectations? Yeah, absolutely. And it's not something where I'm going to expect a challenge to go to 100K when the market is doing this or the signals are doing what they are doing right here. And but again, at the same time, yes, met objectives. Yeah, a little disappointed after the start that we had. It was a slow start, but really kind of started to grind. But you'll notice that the amount of trades. I mean, if you look here from July, right? We go June and July here, and the just pure number of trades. From May it was really light, right? We only had 5 in May, but then June and July, this is where we packed in most of the trades. August and September, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trades. Right? Only 7 trades here in that August-September time period. And, that's what it's meant to do. If the market's going to chop, if stocks are going to chop, it's meant to not have signals. It's meant to kind of stay away. It's meant to be high in cash. Would have been nice to see 2 or 3 of these signals really kind of, play in our favor. Unfortunately, they didn't. And, we did take a lot of implied volatility loss. With many of them. Apple, which was a gain, but we took a big implied volatility loss here on it. Okay. Now, when it comes to having this number of trades on the board or in a bank, there's this thing called hindsight. And it is one of the easiest things to do. It's always easy to look and say, well, had I held or had I done? And one of the things that if we go and we look at these trades honestly, and we go and we say, had we broken the rules? Had we broken the rules and made exceptions in this case, in that case, and we go through each trade and say, had we broken the rules and made exceptions, the challenge would have gone to 0. Yes, Apple would have been a bigger gain, right? Apple would have had a much nicer gain. Yes, there's a Disney trade in here that would have had a much nicer gain. But overall, had we broken the rules, the challenge would be at 0. And if you go back through the different trades and you look and you say, well, let's ignore these auto exit dates, right? Let's just ignore those. We would see a challenge that slowly erodes and gets to 0. We would see where some of the nice gains, like on Bank of America, turn into losses with the option values, not with the stock, but with the option values that are out there. So, it is very easy to look at a trade in isolation, right? And to say, hey, man, I wish I could have held that and done that, right? Like Apple, right? I wish I could have held that and, taken advantage of the move after Apple days or whatever you want to call it. That would have been nice to have it on those 2 days. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It would be. But if I take and I make that exception and I go and apply that exception to everything out there, the challenge goes to 0. And that is something that, when it comes down to it, you'll find those of you who've sent me hindsight arguments, I just don't even respond. Right? I don't respond. There's nothing for me to say. The hindsight element, there's no opinion base coming out from me. It's running off of the system, and I know that's an adjustment, for many, including myself. But that's the way it's going to continue to be. And yes, I know when trade exits and Jeff can step in under unusual circumstances and change a trade. I absolutely can. But I'm only going to do that normally when it's taking some risk off, not adding risk. So when it comes down to it, the challenge meet its objectives. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and I will chalk this challenge up as a win, and make a few adjustments. Going forward. Now the adjustments, they don't have a whole lot to do with this challenge specifically. Some of the watch list stuff does. I'm going to expand the watch list. Normally, this time of year, based on the data over the last 3 years, I should be contracting the watch list, not expanding. But I am going to expand it, but I'm going to separate it into two watch lists, and I'll show you that next week. I'm going to make a small change to the ATR method. I've alluded to that here, in the past, and going to make some changes to how some of the data is updated. For instance, the entry triggers. I'm not going to have it dated like it is right now, where you can go look none or Visa bullish or anything. It is just going to list out the triggers. So if there's a day with no triggers, there's not going to be any data there. And if there is a trigger, that trigger will be posted. So it'll just be triggers, so that it's a little shorter, a little more brief, easy to get through. And then the video recordings, I'm not going to keep them on this spreadsheet anymore. In fact, I stopped here in August. As we saw, nobody was using this here. There were no real click-throughs on any of these, and there were a few with a link issue, but it wasn't something that we saw being used. So those links and those videos, they're all available on the site, right? You can grab them, but just won't have them on the spreadsheet there as we go forward. We will have a new spreadsheet for the next challenge. We'll have new video discussions for the sorting method, the ATR method, the intro, and in all of that stuff. So you can go back and get some of the material things, but we'll be building that next week as we prepare for the coming challenge. I will do a 90-day or a challenge and summation here. Looking at the numbers, for the challenge and the data for the challenge. But barring a big change here this afternoon, as I looked at it, there wasn't really even anything close. So I'm not expecting a new challenge trade. But barring anything like that, this is how the challenge is going to end. It's going to end over 10,000 here, and then with challenge gains of 7,383. So that's where algorithm challenge number 1 is going to end, and we'll kick off the next challenge this month. Now, I haven't decided on an end date for this next challenge. If we go out and we give it that kind of 90 trading days here with it, that kind of puts us into January. But it's one of those where the last week of December, when you look at it, it can sometimes be a big mover, big trender, and other times just be dead flat. And it's a time where most people are on holiday, things like that. So I haven't decided, will we end the challenge right before Christmas, or, and then start up back again in January, or will we continue to run the challenge through December and then start the next one here in middle of January? So I haven't made that decision yet. It's probably something where I'm going to keep the close date open-ended. Where we'll decide as we get there. And if market conditions are shaping up to be very tradable and to have signals over that course of time, we'll continue to go. And if market's setting up to where, it's just going to be chop city and not a lot of signals, then we'll probably just end it and restart the next challenge in January. So we'll probably play that by ear as we go forward. Thank you for being with us. Thanks for being with us here at Trader Minute. I know this has been an adjustment in terms of learning the different structure here for the challenge, and will continue to be a little bit of an adjustment there. And I can very much appreciate that. As you ask questions, please shoot them over to support, and Michelle can help you out there, and she'll filter what needs to come to me over to me, and we'll go forward. We'll go forward from there. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and I will keep my thoughts posted on chat near the end of the day. Take care.